part in the movie, you will receive 1 or 2 lines of dialogue, receive on-screen credit with our cast, and an IMDb credit too. You will also receive a DVD, a digital copy of the completed film, and upon its commercial release. Plus, you will receive a thank you on our movie's website and on-screen thank you in the movie's end credits. So I'm going to be in a movie. It won't be much of a role. I'll probably get to say, hey, or something like that. But that'll be fun. But that'll just be cool to actually be able to meet, hopefully, Gail Harold and these other really cool people on the set. That'll be fun to do. Anyway, I thought it'd be a fun thing to do and also help a really good cause. And so that's what we're doing on that. So by the way, if you're interested in helping Kiss Me, Kill Me get made, you want to be a backer for the show, you can go to Kickstarter.com and search for the project Kiss Me, Kill Me, and you can back it. Their goal is $100,000. They are at almost $20,000 right now with 28 days to go. So check them out, and maybe I'll see you there. Okay, so there was a story on Queer Tea I read earlier today or yesterday about a gay sex slave ring, and it was about these guys who had been told that they could make like $5,000 a month as male escorts, and so they were flown to Florida or something. And when they were flown down there, they were actually ended up being enslaved as sex slaves who had to work having sex for 20 hours a day. 20 hours a day having sex, 20 hours a day. Can you imagine? I mean, look, I love sex. Sex is fucking amazing and great, and I love it. I've always been very good at it. I've always loved it and all that. But 20 hours a day is insane. I mean, that's truly torture. And obviously, they were made to actually perform on screen and one of those camera shows or whatever, and their passports were held, and their families were threatened. It was horrible. But fortunately, they recently were found and they were released and got out, and they turned in the 3 men who were from, I think it said Bavaria or Bulgaria or some shit like that, or Bavaria, I don't know, Germany, or I don't know where the fuck they were from, but somewhere over there in Eastern Europe or something. And they are now being tried. But, this kind of thing happens a lot, and it happens in the gay community as well as with heterosexuals. But, you got to be careful. I mean, first of all, you probably should try to find an alternative source of income than actually having sex with people for money. That's the first thing. But of course, these people are not to blame for the situation they found themselves in completely. Obviously, no one expected to be enslaved. And I would never say that these people deserved it or anything. But I will say that, if you've got to be careful. Gay guys especially, it seems to me, are just over trusting. I mean, just trusting somebody you've never met, you've met online, and it promises you $5,000 a month to have sex with people, and you're, oh, okay, let's go. Let me move my whole fucking life and go, and I'll give you my passport, my driver's license. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I don't think I was that stupid, or my teens, like 19, 20, whatever. I don't think I was that fucking dumb. Anyway, but apparently some people are. So be it. There was another story I read about gay virgins before marriage. Now, this was interesting to me because, you hear a lot of girls who are saving them, and guys these days, heterosexuals, who have purity rings and are saving themselves for marriage until they find the right person, blah, blah, blah. And people are always saying, oh, that's so admirable. That's so terrific. That's so wonderful, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but I completely disagree. I have never found being a virgin to be virtuous or anything else. And first of all, most of these quote unquote virgins still have oral sex or have anal sex because they don't consider it it's not penetrating the vagina, or, so it's not really, like they're not having sex. They're just not having vaginal sex or whatever, the girls. But why is it that it's supposed to be a positive that you save yourself for someone before marriage? I think that's a horrible idea, to actually wait to have sex with someone for the first time until you've actually made this lifelong commitment to somebody, and you don't even know yourself, don't know what you like sexually, don't know what you like in men sexually or whatever. It makes no fucking sense to me at all. I'm sorry. I just do not agree with it at all. It doesn't make any sense. I think that it's important that you as a as a gay man or gay girl or whatever, you experiment. You find out what turns you on sexually. You find out what you like in your men or your women, what you don't like, and you have to try people on, like a shoe, and see if they fit. That's what it's all about, dating and all that stuff, including sex. It's not just about the emotional side. It's, marriage is about the emotional side, the mental, intellectual side, and the sexual side. So you have to have all three of those in sync in order to really have a successful marriage. You have to. If you don't have all three of those in sync, or at least working on them as much as possible, then it's unlikely that it's going to last. And so what happens if this gay person says, they marry somebody and they find out that they're both bottoms, or or they're both tops, or one likes really hot, dominant, rough sex. The other one likes really vanilla sex or something. I don't know. There's all these sorts of different types of dynamics that come with sexual chemistry that you can't possibly know without trying it. So I'm not really for the whole gay virgin thing. It makes no fucking sense to me. It makes no sense to me at all in the heterosexual community either. Why do that? It's just a bad idea. I'm sorry. Now, I'm sure there are tons of Christians out there who are going to disagree with that and think, you should save yourself for marriage, blah, blah, blah. That's a noble idea. And, it's a noble idea and pursuit in some way because, it's nice to want to do that. It's a nice thing. But is it really practical? Is it really smart? No, it's not practical, and it is not smart. It's actually the stupidest thing you can do. And of course, our grandparents' generations and before, they often married people without having had sex before. It was, the cultural norm. But we live in 2014 where the cultural norm is to have premarital sex, to try people on to see if they fit, and then decide if you want to marry somebody, not do it the other way around. So I'm all for it, by the way. There was a gay a gay frat guy who was actually kicked out of a fraternity because he was gay. He was told he was kicked out, or not. He was rushing a fraternity. He was not able to pledge because he was gay, he was told. So he actually filed a lawsuit against the fraternity for discrimination or a complaint with the school or whatever the case may have been. And so now they're in trouble, and the fraternity was already on probation for things they'd done before. When I was in college, at SMU, I went to a few rush parties my freshman year, and before you're supposed to start. It's called Dirty Rush. You're not supposed to do that because the fraternities try to get to the pledges before the other fraternities do, so they can have a more likely chance of you rushing their fraternity. And, I was openly gay, but people did not know I was gay. And so I was there and just hanging out or whatever. And, I don't know, I just felt completely uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to be in a fraternity like that anyway. I had no desire to be in one. I only went because my roommate had gone and invited me to go, and the people who there invited me to come. So I went, and it was just a bunch of it's just what you think. It's a bunch of frat dudes hanging around, and drinking beer and talking about bullshit about girls and that kind of fucking bullshit, that kind of stuff. Oh my God, that kind of crap, So, so that's what it was like. It really was like that. And they were fucking drinking beer and shit. And that was it. I mean, just they were drinking and shooting the breeze, there was nothing else was going on at these parties, to have sex or whatever of the girls and stuff. So it was just fucking dumb, and I had no interest in it. So I started my own fraternity at SMU called Delta Lambda Phi, which was I started a chapter of a national gay fraternity there. And I did it because I wanted to have, foster friendships with other men and gay men, and wanted to have lifelong friendships with these people. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because of a lot of bullshit that happens when you bring a lot of gay men together in one room or one organization, as you can imagine. if you've ever been part of a gay organization, I'm sorry to feed into stereotypes, but this is very true in my personal experience. You have a lot of gay men together at an organization. There's a lot of bitchiness and cattiness and jealousy and competition. It's just horrible. And that's the way the fraternity was. I was trying to find friends that were going to be people, you know, who would support me and vice versa the rest of my life. Instead, I found a bunch of catty, bitchy queens who wanted to all have sex with each other and, you know, weren't willing to really just have friendships. It was just a horrible mess. But so I ended up leaving it and not being part of it anymore. But regardless of what happened, you know, I was proud that I started something that lasted well after I was there. But I think if that's the case, you know, this guy can't join a fraternity because he's gay, then fucking start his own. That's what I did. There is a national gay fraternity. Once again, it's called Delta Lambda Phi. If you are part of a college or whatever, then I think it's certainly important that you should try to start your own chapter. It's definitely something that's really, really going to be worth your time, because it really was a fun experience for me. Even though there was a lot of bitchiness and cattiness, there was a lot of fun and a lot of camaraderie while it lasted. So check it out if you want to. Nick Carter did. If you remember Nick Carter from the Backstreet, is it Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? I can't remember. I think he was from Backstreet Boys. Wait, Backstreet's back. All right. I think it's Backstreet Boys, right? He was on Backstreet Boys, I think. And Nick Carter, I always had a crush on him. I thought he was so cute. I always had a thing for blondes. And so he was the blonde one. And he's straight, but he was on he was on his show, his reality series or something, and he was in nothing but this like thong or whatever, and his body's not like spectacular, but it's nice. It's not like, you know, like a model's body or anything, you know. He used to be pretty chunky, so it's probably better than my body anyway. And but he looks pretty good, and so you could just see him in his skivvies or whatever on that show. So if you're interested in that. But speaking of that, there was a guy named Kelly Johnson from Below Deck, and Below Deck is a show on Bravo, and I've never watched one episode of Below Deck ever. I have no interest in it. You know, like Bravo is one of my favorite all-time channels of all time. I love it because, you know, I love Andy Cohen. I love the Real Housewives of whatever. I watch every single franchise of that. Real Housewives of Orlando. I mean, Real Housewives of the OC, Beverly Hills, Atlanta, New Jersey, New York. I even watched Miami when it was on, and Washington and DC one. So I've watched every single franchise of that. It's really, I love the Real Housewives. And there's a lot of other shows on there I watch as well, but there's some shows on there I'm just like, what the fuck ever. I just have no interest in it. And Below Deck is one of them. But anyway, this guy, his name is, what did I say his name was? Kelly Johnson. If you go to, just search for his name on there. There's a picture of him and his dick hanging out, and it's really nice penis, by the way, big, long, and fleshy, and nice. Anyway, if you like dick, it's on there. But he apparently is trying to get himself known by doing like a naked picture. And these days, that's what everybody's doing. It's like everybody wants their fucking 5 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever of fame. And it's like, you know, how far will you go to be famous, to be well known? Now, obviously, he's already on a show, and so he doesn't necessarily need to do this. But to get his, you know, his profile up, he's releasing this naked picture of himself, although it was quote unquote an accident, just like all these other people, these famous people, like, you know, whose pictures were found recently on the iCloud stuff, which were quote unquote accidents. Now, I do think that probably was a hack, but you know, that happens all the time. The fastest way to get people to remember you is to take your fucking clothes off. Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of people that we know about because initially they took their clothes off or were in a porn flick or a home porn movie or something. And so why is it that is something that makes people so enamored with someone? I guess because you feel you know them because they're naked, and it's the most vulnerable thing you can do is to be nude in front of the world. I don't know. But I personally, I don't have any respect for it one way or the other. It doesn't really mean anything to me. I mean, look, I like to look at naked guys, nice looking naked guys, just like the next guy. I love the male form, and I love beauty in general, and being an artist or, you know, designer or whatever I am. I'm both, I guess. I'm very much enamored by beauty. So I understand why I'm enamored by it, and I guess other people feel the same way. But it is to me just a bit cheap to sell yourself out just to get a little more, publicity or whatever. So I don't really have much to say about that, but I thought I would mention it. Okay, going to come right back in a minute and close up and talking about the pig's broth guy that murdered his transsexual girlfriend, and whatever else comes to mind. Be right back.